Hi, it's Ron with Old Men Stories Opry. I'm here with Pat Boilesen, and we got to know Pat must be several months ago now, maybe, or a month and a half. Anyway, at a local jam, introduced to us by a friend of Angie's and mine by the name of Daryl Miller.
Yes.
And Daryl came up to us one day and he said, he says, I've got a lady that is a fantastic entertainer.
Oh, wow.
And he said, could you and Angie interview her, listen to some of her songs? We said, sure, bring her over. So I think he missed the first week. The next week you came over.
Yes, yes.
And that's when we met you and,
yes.
and sat down and interviewed you with your song. And, it was so great. And so we thought, we got to do this again.
I'm so glad you did think that.
And so here we are,
All right.
in the middle of Mesa, Arizona, and you're from
Albion,
Nebraska.
Yes.
Wow, that's a ways from here too, isn't it? I'm
Yes,
from Minnesota,
yes. Yes.
as is Angie.
Home of the Huskers.
Yeah, no, that's Nebraska. Yeah,
Yes.
the Cornhuskers, absolutely.
Yes.
What I would like to ask you is, how did you ever get into this situation, entertaining, singing? What age did you start?
I started.
Don't tell me. You don't have to tell me your age, but
Oh,
what age you?
I don't mind telling you at all the age. I was about 4 years old when I
Wow.
started singing.
Tremendous.
For different little programs, but my favorite entertaining at that point in my life was to walk out into my daddy's pasture, and I would have an audience every time I did this of about 300, because I would sing to my daddy's cattle.
Wow.
And they were a wonderful audience. They loved everything I did. And I've had the dream of being a singer ever since, at that point in my life. That was what I really wanted to do.
Did you get on top of a milk stool with a corn cob as a microphone?
Yes. One year I got a cowgirl outfit for Christmas, and my parents could afford the little cowgirl outfit, but they couldn't afford the boots. And so I would wear my daddy's old black dress socks as boots, and they came to just the perfect length on my little legs. And so I was dressed as a cowgirl, and off to the pasture I'd go to sing to the cows.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So then you sang in church, did you, when you were young also?
Yes,
and,
I sang in church and all through high school. I sang in high school. And at that point in time, I did not really think I had a good voice. I always gave credit to my high school music teacher for finding that in me. And he pretty much forced me to take part in contests, in school. And I remember how terrified I was, and that cotton mouth that you get before you would sing. And I could not believe that he actually thought I had a good voice. And then I didn't do much until after I had 3 children, and then fell into it again through community theater.
Wow.
And again, I couldn't believe people liked my voice, and I was hooked. I was hooked.
That did it.
I never stopped after that.
Isn't it kind of ironic between that time period, raising children and that kind of thing, and then getting back into the...
And that's always entered into my writing.
Yeah.
I think is the my writing is probably, you could line my songs up and you would find that they tell the story of my life.
That's neat.
I have a feeling that maybe that's what we would discover.
Sure.
I've never done that, but because basically that's what I write about.
Mm-hmm, sure. That's where a lot of people come from with their stories. So did you start playing guitar at an early age too, or
No,
did you kind of progress later on?
And I'm still not sure that you would consider it playing guitar. I am not a good guitar player. I'm a honky-tonk piano player.
Oh.
And grew up playing honky-tonk piano music.
I love that.
And I only had about 6 months of formal training, and then the piano instructor told my mother she was wasting the money, because she said, I pull the book out from in front of her on that piano and she keeps playing. So she's hearing that music and then she's faking it when she comes to piano lessons.
Fantastic. So you were playing by ear most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. Oh, I love that honky tonk. Do you have any of that on your CDs?
Well, I do have, yes, I
You
do
do have
some
songs with the
just
piano.
honky tonk piano.
Oh, those I gotta hear. I love that.
They're wonderful.
You sing at the same time,
No,
or you just
no.
play? Okay.
The ones that are the old honky tonk music are just strictly piano because there's, believe it or not, there's some people that don't want those songs messed up with singing on them. So.
The old kind of saloon type.
Oh yes,
honky?
yes,
You
yes.
know,
There
that's-
is a tavern in the town and Pennsylvania polka
Ah,
and
jeez.
Red Wing and all
Oh
of those
man,
old, good old
that's great.
songs.
You know, several summers or several falls ago, we have a friend in Kansas and Morris Pritz, and we spent a week with him there, and he took us to Old Abilene. We went to a little jam in an old saloon there in old downtown Abilene. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Been through it.
And it's just the recreation of the old. I mean, it's the actual old town, and they had a saloon there. And on Sunday afternoons, they have a jam there with several of us. And they had a honky tonk piano. And
There
oh,
is-
jeez,
and
this just reminded, just like you're in the middle of the old
There
west.
is nothing
you know?
like the honest to goodness old upright piano.
Oh no, that's right.
Today I have to use an electric keyboard a lot because I can't take an upright along with me. But there is still nothing like the old upright honky tonk piano, and the more beat up it is, it seems to me, the better it sounds.
That's exactly right. Wow. We're going to talk about your song called Faded Gingham. Boy, I'll
Yes.
tell you, that's a title that I really like. It reminds me of my days on the farm when, you know, Gingham was kind of popular then, I think, you know. And tell me about that
Well,
song. How did you...
I cannot take credit for the title of that song because that was a song that when I go to festivals, or at least when I started going to festivals, they would have songwriting competition. And when you entered songwriting competition, usually it was an old ice cream bucket you would reach in and you'd pull out a slip of paper. And whatever was written on that piece of paper is what your song had to be about, and you had to include that phrase in your song. And one year, I believe it was at the National Traditional Country Music Festival, I pulled out Faded Gingham and immediately went to my camper and climbed in and locked the doors and wouldn't let anybody, because I already had an idea going through my mind. And the song, as our listeners will hear, is about a married couple who have had a wonderful life, and she made her wedding gown from gingham, and the song progresses and he loses her, and the line in the chorus is, and he's got faded gingham on his mind.
Wow.
And it just tells the
a
story
tearjerker.
just tells the story
I love it.
of his memories of his sweetheart in
Wow.
her gingham gown.
I love tearjerkers.
And I believe it was the third place. I think it got third place. I'm not sure.
Unbelievable. How long did it take you to do that, to write that song?
You only have about 24 hours really when it boils
And
down
put the
to
music
it.
to it?
You put the music to it,
gee.
you find the musicians, and then you perform it in front of the judges.
You sound just like my friend Angie. She does that. She's so fantastic. You guys are just like twins, kind of, when it comes to that.
Cool.
We're going to listen to your song now, Pat, called Faded Gingham.
All
I'm
right.
sure the folks are going to enjoy it. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Here's Pat with her song, Faded Gingham.
Until the lace was tattered and the dress was patched and worn, he promised her